guys, we've got a fun review today because we're talking about the prequel to X, Pearl. It's pretty wild that X came out earlier this year and teased a prequel in its post-credits scene, which, honestly, I actually didn't know there was a post-credits scene when I first saw X, so I did have to watch it a second time. I'm just not used to A24 films having a post-credits scene, much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe setting up another film. But I did think it was an interesting idea releasing them both in the same calendar year, since Ty West did film this along with X, an entire film that's focused around Pearl and what really drove her to be the way that she was in X, which I think is a fascinating idea. Since they did leave some context clues to her backstory within X, there is an interesting story there for an origin story. Pearl is going for a much different style of film than in X. You can't really compare the two styles. X was kind of more of an ode to the gritty horror slashers of the 1970s. This is going for more classic Hollywood style, the 1930s, 1940s classic golden age Hollywood, which means super saturated color palette, Technicolor style, and I do think that does cause the film to be very vibrant visually and unique. It reminded me a bit of The Wizard of Oz, another film from that classic golden age of Hollywood. Now, despite both her and her husband killing the majority of the cast within X, you do kind of feel bad for Pearl as an individual. Both Pearl and X do a great job having you understand her sadness since she never was able to fulfill any of her dreams of stardom. And this film in particular, the prequel, once again does a great job giving us that gateway into Pearl's aspirations when she was younger, while also showcasing many of the warning signs of her crazier tendencies whenever her dreams are threatened by pretty much anybody in the film. There aren't really too many people in the film that are potentially safe from her wrath other than maybe her husband, because her husband's off at war. As I am a massive fan of the horror genre, I've been a big fan of Mia Goth for many years now. A Cure for Wellness, Suspiria, X. But I think Pearl, this is probably her best performance to date. Mia Goth just does such a fantastic job at making Pearl feel so empathetic. She's this woman who has such big dreams and passions, yearning to become a star so badly to the point where she's obsessing over it, even as many people, including her mother, are pretty much trying their best to squash her hopes and dreams. But that setup here is what makes Pearl so enjoyable, because as the film progresses, we do see that facade start to unravel, beginning to see her lash out more and becoming much more deranged, inevitably leading to some bloodshed. It is pretty messed up, some of the stuff that she does, some of which does ironically involve the alligator from X, so I'm glad they got to use the alligator once again. I guess this is the same alligator from X. I mean, there's a large gap in years, but I guess alligators can live a long time, so we're just gonna assume that this is the same one. I wouldn't say that Pearl in general is a scary film by any means, at least in the traditional sense like X was. Kind of going back to what I said before, we're going for a kind of different film here compared to X. The kills themselves, they're not very surprising at all, and there aren't really a whole lot of them, especially compared to X, and it is a prequel. We have an idea where the end game is for Pearl and the rest of these characters, so there isn't like a whole lot of suspense going on to the film, but where most of the terror does come from in Pearl is seeing that descent into madness, and it is scary witnessing just what she'll attempt to do if something does get in her way. There's this whole entire monologue that Pearl gives in the film, and it's very powerful. It's probably, honestly, the best part of the entire film, this monologue alone. It's really bone-chilling, at least to me. I do feel a large amount of the enjoyment you'll get out of Pearl does hinge on the fact of how did you feel about X and Pearl as a character, if you wanted to see her backstory explored whatsoever. If you go into Pearl expecting a film just like X, I think you're going to leave pretty disappointed, but if you're going into this looking at it from the lens of a girl's descent into madness, much akin to something like Joker or something along those lines, I think you're going to get more enjoyment out of it in that way. The film in general is very straightforward with the plot it's trying to tell, but I do think it becomes a great companion piece prequel to X. It gives you exactly what you want a good prequel to do, enhancing the original film while also filling some gaps into the story. Honestly, it probably makes me the most want to go back and watch X and see if I could pick up on more stuff from that film and see the full complete story. At least initially in this film, going back in time with Pearl, I do see a bit more similarities between her and the character Maxine in X, also played by Mia Goth, and the fact that, you know, we do see a stag film watched by Pearl at one point in this film. We do know that Maxine was filming a porno in X. I do find the stories in general in this universe interesting, the way that Ty West is crafting all these characters. We do have a third film potentially being written set in the same universe. Obviously, it's probably not going to star Pearl. If it's going to be set after X, it's going to star Maxine. But I think it's a very interesting prequel. It's not not the greatest prequel of all time or anything, and like I said, it does hinge a lot on how you felt about Pearl as a character, if you really were that intrigued where she became this crazy person. Out of the two, I think X is the superior film. I am a little bit biased because I do prefer slashers in general, but it's a fun time if you do want to check out Pearl in theaters. So make sure you share your thoughts down below once you get a chance to check out Pearl. Did you like the film? Did you dislike the film? Share all your thoughts down below. Also, did you prefer this film to X, or did you like Pearl more than X? Because another fun thing to add into discussion down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching the reviews. I really appreciate that. Make sure you like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so I always update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. The next time, I'll see you guys later.